Hello, welcome everyone. I'm Melissa Costello and I'm here with Dr. Natasha. And I'm so excited for this episode of Reclaim Your Wild because I connected with Dr. Natasha through social media and I saw her profile and what she does. And I just thought, gosh, it would be so incredible to interview you and bring you on and so you can share your brilliance with everyone. So
Goodness.
welcome, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much. And I was saying to you earlier, like, it's so wonderful to have such an alignment in wanting to be of service and really just get people to really have compassion for themselves. It's so transformative.
Oh my gosh, that is, compassion, we'll get more into that. It's such a huge topic and a huge and a powerful strategy that a lot of people they don't feel connected to, or they have a hard time understanding. How do I feel compassion for myself? Like I can feel it for others a lot of times, but how do I feel it for myself? So definitely would love to touch on that today.
Yeah.
But why don't you at least just tell us, I know you're a naturopathic doctor and you also work in this realm of rapid transformational therapy. So why don't you kind of start by telling us a little bit about you, your story, how you've gone down this path, and we'll just kind of start there and then see how it unfolds.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many, as life is, you go on so many twists and turns, and that's part of the fun journey of it all. I completed my naturopathic program and then went on to do residency, owned a wellness center with multiple practitioners, and it was an incredible opportunity. And from there, I ended up working for a company where I launched their performance clinic and did urgent care. And though that was incredible, I learned so much and really refined my skill sets as a doctor. I kept hitting up against the same issues with myself and with clients. And that was, we would make great strides toward what it was we desired for our health and our well-being. Yeah. And then it would all kind of fall apart as we got closer, or even when we started to attain it. And, the diet plans, the diet plans, the exercise, all the things to put into place that were working, but temporary. And I just couldn't understand, well, why isn't this sustaining profound transformation? I wanted aha moments that just rippled out to a person's life and they were forever able to step into this new way of being. And it led me to myself on my journey toward intuitive development program work. So doing a lot of visualization and energy work, and then subconscious work. And that's when I pivoted my career from urgent care, which seems so different from what I do now, to offering hypnotherapy and mind, body, energetic medicine modalities. And it's been so incredible. It's such a gift to love, what I mean by this, to love what you do and to love the people that you get to work with. So, yeah.
So speaking of the people that you work with, what types of people seek you out? Like, do you find that there's a type of person that seeks you out? Is it kind of very general and broad? I'm sure when you're a naturopathic doctor, you saw, obviously you still are, but you saw, right, a gamut or a whole array of different types of people. But with this kind of deeper transformational work you're doing, what type of people are seeking you out? I'm just so curious.
Yeah, that's a really great question. I would say the majority, I do end up predominantly seeing women now in my practice. That was not actually the case throughout my career. But now it seems predominantly women, professionals, entrepreneurs, those in service, so service with regards to in the healthcare alternative medicine field, and artists. And really where it comes from is they desire to step into being this version of themselves that they can taste and they know it. And yet, like I said earlier, they can't attain it, or they can't sustain and hold that way of being. And they desire to figure out, well, what's at the root of that? I know something's blocking me. I don't know where it is, and I need some support. And my job is really to hold space for them to heal themselves and to kind of light up where those blind spots are. And then it's so miraculous because they find it, they have, like I said earlier, these aha moments, and they make it all look so easy in a session. And you're like, wow, that's incredible. So yeah, that's mainly who I get to see now.
That must feel really empowering to be able to help people kind of step into that next phase of their lives. Like they know they have a dream, they know they want something, they're being pulled toward it, and yet there's this wall they keep hitting up against, right? And it sounds like you're kind of that catalyst for them to really empower them to number one, identify what are my blind spots, and then how do I, right, walk through them or pass over them or transform them, really, so that I can have this thing more sustainably in my life, you know? Yeah. Cool.
I think that sometimes, like you had said earlier about compassion, sometimes it's easier for us to have compassion, care for another person, but finding that yes, all our yes within ourselves is sometimes challenging. But if somebody can hold space for you and give you this permission slip, like you get to have this, you deserve this, it gives them permission to finally unlock something for themselves. Yeah.
Isn't that funny how we don't necessarily naturally give ourselves permission? It's like we need someone else to give us that permission. And that's why I'm such a big believer in vulnerability and sharing. And, you know, I share my story a lot with my clients in my group because I believe that it's so important that others know that people are going through a challenging time and they can come out the other side, you know. And what I've learned on my journey, and I'm sure maybe this is the same for you, is that having support and having someone to point out my blind spots and to really support me in kind of that transition has been huge in my life. Do you get support yourself? Like, do you have a coach? Do you get support for your own growth?
Absolutely. You know, I would say that I think that sacred containers, and what I mean by that is like a collective group that wants to empower themselves and wants to celebrate other people's wins as well, has been really the biggest thing for me, the biggest support for me. So one of my mentors is Sarah Entrup, and she has a group called Free the She. And that's who I learned a lot of these incredible tools from. Do you know Sarah? Are you familiar with Free the She?
I was reading your website, and when I saw that name, I was like, oh, chills. I like lit up in chills. Free the She. That's like incredible. Yeah.
So in, you know, her work, and then I went to do hypnotherapy, so Marissa's peers work, and then again, back to my naturopathic community. And it really feels like a community because all of those groups come together with this core mission that lies in this desire to love one another, to have unity, to come back to honoring the mind, body, spirit, integration, that there's a unity there. And if we can pull away what's been in the way, real healing can occur. And when we can honor and see each other in our lives doing it and like celebrate one another through it, it's so incredible. And then like, that's where we give ourselves permission again, right? We see them and we're like, well, we can do this for ourselves then too. Yeah.
Have you been noticing through this kind of crazy time we're in of COVID, right? These last 7 months, have you noticed a difference in what your clients are coming to you for? Like, has there been, you know, because a lot of my clients are feeling more stressed out, they're overeating more, they're just feeling like they're one day is blending into the next, and they're, you know, there's a lot of just uncertainty. I was just wondering if you noticed kind of like a theme in terms of what your clients are coming to you for.
I think that what was most surprising, this answer is probably going to be surprising, is that a lot of individuals that had been putting off going deep within themselves to really look at parts of themselves that are like, oh, I don't know, can I come back from it? Will I be able to go to work the next day without them having to go to a physical job? It's like they've given themselves, they have more spaciousness in their life to do this work. So what I've actually found is more individuals coming in to do deeper work and to really go, and I know there's something in my childhood, I know there's something in my past, and I'm finally ready to look at and be with that trauma and be held and taken care of, because there's room in my life for that to happen. And then there's a desire also to unmatch from the collective fear, so that they can be of better service in their life, right? So that's another thing that comes up a lot, that they're willing to do the inner work. Now is the time to do it. This time has shown them that they've got to go within, and that's so important because we see in the world what covering up and masking up and band-aiding has done. And as everything is sort of crumbling, exploding, being exposed, they're willing to be like, okay, I'm ready. I don't want that kind of future for my inner self. I want to get ahead of it and do this work now.
Oh, I love that. I love that. The idea that people are really opening up to that deeper place, because I think that can be scary for a lot of people. And I've noticed that the clients that I have coming in now, they're really in that place. They're ripe. They're ready to go deep. They're like, I'm ready for this. Like, I know this is the place that I'm really going to heal, you know? And so I think I love that this time has been opening that up for a lot of people and really giving people time to reflect on, gosh, what do I really want for my life? Am I living my life full out? I posted a question in my Reclaim Your Wild Facebook group and said, what percentage of your life are you living in alignment with yourself? You know, and a lot of people were like 60%, 50%, you know, and I was like, okay, what would it look like to be 100%, you know? And I think that that's kind of across the board, a lot of what's happening, especially with women, right? Women are caught up in kids and work and life and people pleasing and all of these things, you know, and I love that, though, that they're also in a space of willingness to go to that deeper place for healing.
I
think that's where we truly reclaim, right, our power. So you really work with women around helping them reclaim joy, build confidence, right, and reconnect to their authenticity. So can you talk a little bit about that? Like, just kind of, I don't know how that looks, or like what you do with women to help them kind of reconnect to those things.
Yeah, I think it's really, you know, a lot of us have grown up experiencing like what is like to speak our truth and have that be stopped. So when we're younger, we're often in this culture and environment where when we spoke up, when we expressed ourselves, we might be misbehaving. We might be, to be a good girl or boy or child, meant to be quiet, to be helpful and do as you're told, no questions. And what can happen is your feelings, if you're sad or upset, that gets halted. And so what can occur is that we numb ourselves out from this feeling where we're like, something doesn't feel good, something doesn't feel right, I can't express myself. That's uncomfortable. I'll just numb and withdraw. And so a lot of the work that I am doing is helping them to start to very, very gently explore and inquire, what is your truth? What are your core values? How do you authentically want to express yourself? And give them some ways in which they can incorporate that on an embodiment level, like whether just helping the body feel safe through speaking again, really, and being truthful again, healing again. All of that's been so suppressed. So a lot of my work is, again, holding space for them and showing them how to gently do that, and that it is a practice. Like, yes, I talk about transformation and it being profound, and we unearth these subconscious beliefs, but there are layers to that. You know, like, it's not like I have an aha moment, there's only one, and then that's it. It is a practice, and it is a continual finding out what's true, refining. It's just easier though as it gets easier, and my job really is to help them get to that first level of ease, realizing that it can be easy. Yeah. I have a question for you. You know, with your practice, do you get that people often feel like being able to heal themselves has to be hard or a struggle or be painful, and that you're kind of helping them shift that perspective a little bit of like, being able to feel can be easy, being able to express your truth can be easy. Here's how we start to practice that.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, you know, it's all about the mindset and the beliefs that people come in with, right? And I do hear that a lot. Like, I'm scared, it's hard, what if I can't do it? Or, you know, and a lot of people are afraid to access kind of the places that they've shut down. You know, a lot of people I work with, they're used to numbing with food. And so that's what they've been doing for a long time. And, you know, even though I hear them say like, oh, I didn't have some huge traumatic event, I say it doesn't matter. It's about what you believe about yourself, or maybe you heard something along the way, or like you said, your emotions were suppressed, or you didn't get to express yourself. And then you just started to like shut down and not like value what's within you and not express what's within you. And then you just put all the food on top, and that kind of, you know, suppresses everything more. And then we're kind of walking through life with these, you know, these filters of how we see things and believing it's too hard to change, you know. And I would say it doesn't have to be hard. It's a journey, right? It's a journey we go on, and there are layers, and I'm always peeling back the onion. I'm sure you feel that way.
Yeah.
In your life. And so, and I always say there's no end game. It's, you know, it's not a destination. Or not an event. It's like a journey, right? And so I think it's really important to manage people's expectations around that too, and what they see for themselves in terms of change and transformation, right? Because a lot of women that I work with are yo-yo dieters, and they want, like, I want to lose weight. That's the only thing I care about. But ultimately, it's like, well, why can't you do that? Why are you constantly yo-yoing? And so it's important to check their expectations too about what that means for them and if it's realistic and all that. So yeah, thank you for asking that. And I wanted to ask you, like, for you personally, what has been most challenging? Like, what are the blocks that you find you've come up against in your lifetime? Like, I kind of have the same blocks that I'm always dealing with, but like for you, you're someone who's successful. You were named, you know, Portland's top 100 doctors. You had this huge practice. So like, what are the blocks you come up against that you're always working with for yourself?
Yeah, that's great. I think, well, let me talk a little bit about what I was really challenged with in the past. And you had mentioned that a lot of your clients had a challenging relationship with food. Yeah. And for me, when I experienced a lot of trauma at a younger age, witnessing it, experiencing it in various different ways, yeah, what I ended up doing for whatever reason, and it's not the abuser's intent, but I kind of took on their self-hate, their despair, their unconsciousness, and began to abuse myself. Also, in the trauma, I disassociated from my body. That did not feel like a safe place for me. Yes. But it feels like you're all over the place, right? You're scattered. You can't make your life work if you're not grounded within yourself. The only way I knew how to ground was to I had bulimia, so to eat to the extent that I was uncomfortable and to feel pain. And even though it was pain from eating, it was like this simultaneous pleasure mixed with abusing myself, and that somehow being mixed with pleasure, and feeling then this shame and this discomfort that I was back in my body. And so that was so complicated to unpack.
Yes.
And it was really challenging because I was and that was still going on and off and on and off, even through my naturopathic career. And that was a deep place of shame for me because I was trying to really help people, and I was secretly still battling with a really harsh inner critic who I call Hank. And I'm like,
Hank. Hello, Hank.
Yes. And Hank means well.
Yeah.
Hank just is trying to help me survive, and he's trying to do what it thinks is going to keep me safe, and you know, it's just a little bit that's a little outdated with the methodology. So anyway, that was something I really was challenged with. When I started doing this subconscious work, and I really declared to love myself. And I had heard those, you know, Louise Hay's words of you I forget it perfectly now, but something about, you know, you've been not approving yourself for all of your life. Like, you've been really hard. Why not try approving yourself and see how that goes? And I had heard that, but in this moment of like really again idling with suicidal ideation, like so much shame, again in this really bad place, those words reverberated in me in a very different way. And it then changed the trajectory. And I think compassion is really at the root of it. Without that, all the other stuff that we do, it really won't hold. And it's really as easy, it's easy and not easy, but it's a choice. Will you choose to try on loving yourself? And when I did that, that's when things started to really move. And then I named my body Inez, which means purity. And it was because I really realized that I love naming things. I'm one of those quirky people that names the car and the house. And
I feel like it helps you identify with it in a different way, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because then you're in relationship to something.
Exactly.
And when you're in relationship to something, you can open your heart to it. And I could not open my heart to my body until I really named her and saw her as this innocent, pure vessel that was doing its very best. And that really shifted things for me. That really healed that challenge. And then, and then there's other challenges of, you know, you go through doubting yourself, and it really comes back to my core values. I think really knowing what your core values are and living a life where you connect with that and choose to fulfill upon actions that are in that intention and not attached to the outcome, but just like, am I being who I declare to be, who I desire to be, then life gets easier. And so a lot of those sabotage patterns started to dismantle.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for sharing. First of all, I had no idea that was part of your story. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I relate so much because the reason why I do the work I do is because I've struggled with body image and eating disorder for a long time. And for myself as well, learning the self-compassion, kind of going back, doing a lot of inner child healing. That was huge for my journey and my healing. And, you know, I love just that you shared this kind of, you know, more vulnerable part of yourself to really show people, like, we all have these things. Like, looking at you would never know you struggled with hating your body and an eating disorder, right? But we can see people from the outside and think they have their life together, they look perfect, they have a successful business, you're a successful doctor, right? And we all have these things that we're struggling with, you know, and it's so worth it, in my opinion, to go toward it versus away from it. And I think a lot of us get scared and we want to go away from it. But when there's people out there like you, right, to support people going toward it, it's just, it's so empowering to know, like, oh, there's this person out there that could help me get through these darker parts of myself and learn how to bring that compassion, learn how to love my body and identify with my body in a different way, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's so powerful. And I just love that you shared that. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for your kind words. That means a lot.
Yeah, of course. And I think it's important that, like I said, that it gives others permission to share their fears and their, you know, what they struggle with, you know, and to get that support. There was something else I wanted to ask you and I kind of lost it, but I thought I wrote it down. And so let's kind of maybe switch gears a little bit. So right now you mostly work with people through the hypnotherapy and the rapid transformational therapy, right?
Which is the type of hypnotherapy. Yeah.
Can you just talk a little bit about what that is, the RTT? I know we touched on it a little bit, but I want to hear a little bit more about what that process is. And like, do people need to come for a long time? Is it like, you know, I know it's different for everyone, but I just kind of want to hear more about it.
Yeah. So there's really the predominant way I work with individuals is either we work together in this package of 3 months or 6 months.
Okay.
And I'll kind of distinguish the difference. The 3 month is really that the person is aware of where those blocks are. They have a self-care practice. They've got people around them that support them and care for them. They are clear they want this and that they are ready for their biggest, most joyous transformation. Like they want it to be easy and they're ready for it and they're ready to unearth their subconscious beliefs. So we start with an RTT session where we do a regression back to see where the root of this health concern or this emotional concern first began. And they'll go back not just to one scene, but we'll regress them back to 3 or 4 scenes. Wow. And then from there, when they're in this trance, which really is like a very, very deep meditation, or if you've done a shamanic journey, that kind of like deep, relaxed state where you can tap into that awareness that usually a lot of chaos and noise has you not listening to it.
The ego kind of calms down a little bit, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that Hank gets a little bit more quiet, which is nice. And then we can do a couple of different things. One is we have the person go, okay, you went to these scenes, and here's what the outcomes have been. What did you make believe? What belief are collapsed together here so that they can unlock, oh, I collapsed this with this. Is that true? Mm-hmm. Is that absolutely true? Do I want to still believe this? Can I dismantle this? If I dismantle this, what can I choose?
Wow. Yes.
Which is amazing. Always so fun. And the more it doesn't make sense, the better. I just really love that when we do a session and they're like, what did you make this? And then they are like, what did I just say? How could that make any sense?
Like, where did that even come from? Or
Exactly. And that's really those amazing moments. And another thing that we do is role, function, and purpose. So we really take the gaze inward and we ask, what is the role of blank, whatever this sabotage habit may be, or whatever this health concern may be? What's the role of it? What's the function of it? What's the purpose of it? Again, so many amazing revelations. And to ask, when did you come into the person's life? And are you willing to go? Sometimes they'll say no.
Yes.
And we ask then what needs to be there for it to let go. And sometimes it says, yes, ready. And then that transformation can occur. And then you mentioned inner child work, and that's definitely part of the regression process as well.
Yeah.
So that's the RTT session. A lot happens in that session. It's so incredibly powerful. And then they get a personalized recording that they listen to for the next at least 21 days. Then we do 2 other sessions, and those are coaching sessions where the person's life is going to change. If you're stepping into a new way of being, these constructs that have been there need to kind of break apart, so it's kind of like cleaning the house, and there's that moment where you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I had so many shoes. And yes. So and so it's a matter of, do I need this? Can I throw this out? What doesn't serve me anymore? How can I let go of but these are the shoes I've always worn, Can I let them go? Those kinds of things occur. So it's really a matter of helping a person get really, really comfortable with this new way of being and making that familiar, and helping the nervous system, the body, really settle and feel safe through this process, because that's the most, I think, the most important part. Can the body learn how to feel safe as we step into what was unfamiliar and make that so safe that that now becomes their new familiar, right? Then you've got it. Then you're good. Yeah.
That's so incredible. And I'm just, as you're talking, I'm thinking about my journey and all the kind of different modalities I've tried. And I've done hypnotherapy. I've done a lot of inner child work, and just kind of like being able to identify the beliefs that I created kind of through experiences in my life, having a lot of trauma, an alcoholic father, and like believing that, number one, nobody loved me, that like I didn't have nobody had my back. I had no support. And that one shows still a lot in my life, even though I've worked through it a lot. That one still shows up for me, where I feel like I'm alone. I don't have support, and that's something Dallas always works with me on, my business coach.
Amazing, Dallas.
Yeah. So, and I think that I've done some hypnotherapy as well. And just being able to kind of go back and recognize these kind of points in our lives where, we're young and we don't know the decisions we're making, but being able to go back and identify and say, through these 4 scenes or scenarios, right, that you said, what's the belief that you made about yourself? Like what, and then saying to that part of yourself, like, are you ready to go? Or are you ready to, like, how can we work together? I remember giving a certain part of me a new job because it wasn't ready to go. And I was like, well, how about this? How about I give you the job of, you can be my protector, but only in these certain situations, right? And it was a matter of hearing that, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds safe. And this idea of safety in the body, gosh, I never felt safe in my body ever, And so like, that's so empowering to be able to bring people to that place of, right, coming back to their home. Cause like, this is our home, really,
Yes.
And feeling that's so incredibly empowering to feel at home in your body,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that part of your story. And again, like mirroring what you said earlier, I would never think that you experienced those moments, and it just takes us back to so many of us have those experiences and feelings, and it just gives us like just a little bit more kindness, a little bit more compassion, because we really don't know what wounds are there. I think it's Spring Washam has this quote of, all wounds dissolve in the heart of compassion. And I just like really love those words, because I think it's such a good reminder as we go through it for ourselves and for others. All wounds dissolve in the heart of compassion.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And can you talk about, just quickly, or however long it takes, when I work with my clients and I say, have compassion for yourself, they're like, I don't know how to do that. So can you talk a little bit about how you teach your clients to bring compassion to themselves?
Yeah, there's so many layers to that, but I think so when I think about compassion, when I talk about it in relationship to another person, because I mentioned earlier that a fair amount of people that come to work with me are people that hold space for other individuals. So
Yes.
they are they are helping, they are and so they're often very empathic. And so they're often taking on another person, and they want to please and they want to help.
Yeah.
And so they're often taking on what isn't theirs. A form of self-compassion that honors both is to be able to say, my body doesn't have to take this, but I can hold you here. And what does that look like? And it really is a matter of like, let's explore. So much of my work is like, what does compassion look like for you? Can we start to ask that question? What does self-care look like for you? Where are your beliefs, or where did you start believing that self-care was a negative thing, made you selfish, was bad? Just starting to very gently look at those and ask questions, and then beginning to practice. And it doesn't have to be as elaborate or complicated than we think it is. It can be as simple of like, we just take what we're already doing. When you sit down to eat a meal,
Yes.
can we go, oh, I am this is an act of self-love. I'm feeding my body. And it's an act of saying, thank you, body, for doing the work, chewing the food and doing all of this stuff. And then when we pee, we go pee. Like, you know, like these moments of like, I am relieving myself. I am taking time to take care of myself. And thank you, body, for filtering out what I don't need anymore and letting it go. So it's like, sometimes it's just as simple as being funny about it, and like, you're already doing stuff. How can you use those as moments and opportunities to just put a little drop of kindness toward yourself, toward your body, to practice that languaging? And one of the things that I love to do with clients is I have them do this challenge where if they receive a compliment that day, they write it down. Yes. If they didn't receive a compliment that day, were they able to give themselves a compliment? Awesome. And if they really just were not feeling themselves at all that day, were they able to extend gratitude for somebody in their life or to somebody they are inspired by? And that starts to really become the practice of care and compassion and kindness to the self. And then it has a ripple effect, right? Sometimes we can receive it from others and sometimes we are wanting to give it, but yeah, just the practice of that.
That's so beautiful. I love it. You know, one of the ways that I learned about compassion, because I was always like, what is that? What does that mean? What does that feel like? I don't get it, you know? And through my studies at the University of Santa Monica, you know, my teacher had said to me, imagine yourself sitting with like either a child you love or an animal you love, and the feeling that you have for that being, and then being able to like bring that feeling into yourself, you know, and that's takes a little bit more time than just kind of shifting the mindset into like, oh, how can I be kinder right now? Or like if we're saying something negative, shifting that into like, oh, I need to be more gentle. But for me, when I was really sitting and taking more time and connecting to compassion in a different way, I felt that was like a really great resource of like using another being that I really loved and felt a lot of heart connection to, and being able to feel that first and then bring it into myself. That was like a really cool practice for me to be able to feel my own kind of love and my own compassion.
Yeah. People, nature, animals, like,
Totally. I love it. Yeah. I think that there's so many different ways we can do it, but I love what you're saying about just in the little moments, right? Like bringing that gentleness, bringing that kindness in the moment. If we can stop and just say, thank you, body, right? Thank you for relieving me. Thank you for releasing what I don't need. Thank you for being able to chew and walk. And, you know, I connect a lot of my clients to their bodies because they spend a lot of time hating their bodies, you know, and our bodies they're such miracles and they give us so much. And it's so important that we acknowledge them.
Yeah. That, you know, that I think I really, really, like I said earlier, spent so much of my life really hating my body. Yeah. And then one of my dear friends, Jenny, got diagnosed with ALS, a progressive neurological disease, Lou Gehrig's disease. And she was the most embodied, like really, and I'm not just saying this, like she, before her diagnosis, was one of the most remarkable, like would just inspire you just in the way of her being. And then as she dealt with this disease at a very young age that wasn't related to a family history, and watching somebody embodied lose their ability to function and move, she taught me so much, because she really reminded me of all the things that she had to grieve and then find joy in the new, what she would call the new normal now. Yeah. And it gave me like, Natasha, you can go to the bathroom without assistance. Your body is showing up for you there. And if Jenny could find that love for her body in these moments of it totally deteriorating, you can find it too. And you can find pleasure in walking. She told me once that it had been so long now, she had forgotten the what it felt like even to walk. Somebody who loved to dance and was a beautiful dancer and a beautiful artist, for her to say that, it's like, for me, it was a huge change of now I'm so much more present to when I walk. And I think it's a way of honoring. I sometimes, like I said, sometimes you can't honor yourself.
Right.
But I know that I can honor sisters. I can honor the people I love in my life. And she made such an impact on my life. Me choosing to thank my body when I can eat, when I can do things, is a way in which I honor her legacy, which is what she wanted, for others to embrace the moments of their lives with honesty and with purpose and with joy, was her legacy she wanted to leave behind. And I feel like my practices are about, if I can't find it for myself, it's a way of honoring it for a friend.
That's amazing. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. So beautiful. What a special gift, right? To have her in your life and to be able to learn from that. And yeah, that's so powerful. And I think sometimes it can be easy for us to kind of get caught up in our struggles, right? The things I know, when I was stuck in my food and body stuff, it was all I thought about, it was like nonstop. And I had to literally have a friend say to me, like, stop being so self-centered, like get up and go do something and be of service. And she gave me like a really nice swift kick of tough love, which I needed, because I realized, like, oh my gosh, all of this like nonstop incessant of, it is self-centered. And there's so many people out there that need care and compassion, and like, can I get out of my own way and go do that and be that? And, and so that was a big game changer for me in a lot of ways, of just being able to see past my own. And I'm not saying like avoid it or don't address it, but it's important sometimes for us to get out of our own way and just do something different,
Yeah. It's so challenging. I feel like service is another one of those two sides of the coin. It's so challenging because sometimes we feel like we only have value if we're in service and we are receiving acknowledgement for that service. Yeah. And we can be depleted in that process, versus it coming back to that core value of, this is my core value, is to be generous, is to be loving and giving from that place. And that's the other side of the coin. I think intentionality is just fundamental to how it flowing in the right direction, our lives working. Where is our intention?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Intention is so important, I think. Just,
I
have I don't know about you, but in the morning I set daily intentions, and I often will revisit it throughout the day. And a lot of times, you talked a lot about core values, and that's kind of a topic for a whole, if we had like 2 hours, we could go into that.
Yes.
Like, is my intention, like, am I aligned with my intention, and kind of continuing to circle back to it throughout the day, even if I'm going through something, like asking myself, like, wait a minute, you're getting off track here, like bring it back to what's important, come back to your intention. Those types of things are really helpful, I think, just in terms of reminding ourselves, because a lot of people, they can have like a morning practice, but then as the day goes on, it's like all forgotten. And then by evening, they're stressed out, frazzled. And then it's like, oh, I just want to eat and sit on the couch and do nothing. And then it's, it kind of leads into this vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to wrap up here. This has been so incredible. I have a couple short little questions for you, but first, sure. You have a gift. So I was looking for in the email, here it is. I'm going to put it up on the screen. So tell us a little bit about this gift that you are offering to all of our listeners.
Yeah, so it's a free hypnosis recording. And it really is a matter of just helping somebody feel more relaxed in their body, begin to tap into the tool of using visualization, which is such a powerful thing, because if we can just start to wake up our mind's eye, confusion's a big part of what gets shut off when our feelings get shut off, right? We start to practice, I don't know, I can't see.
Right.
That becomes a habit. And it's tied into this whole withdrawal numbness thing. So when we can start to practice visualization tools and seeing and feeling and letting go and making that easy and fun and playful, it's so soothing to the nervous system. And so that's what this hypnosis is about. It's really a matter of, can you visualize, can you release, can you let yourself receive healing from yourself. So that's what that gift is about.
Yay. So I popped the link up on the screen. I also put it in the comments. Someone said this is such a beautiful conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're listening and hopefully getting a lot of value. I know a lot of people will listen afterwards. So thank you for offering that beautiful gift to all the listeners. Make sure you go download it.
Thank you.
And, okay, so 2 quick questions, a little pop questions before we go. What's your favorite wild animal and why?
Yeah, tigers. I've always loved tigers. I just love their wild nature, their elegance and their beauty, and at the same time, their fierceness. I love the juxtaposition of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Most used emoji on your phone?
Hearts.
Yeah.
Hearts.
I was on a podcast and they asked me that question. I'm like, that's such a great question. Me too. The red heart.
Hearts. Yeah.
You're so cute with your emojis and your emails. I'm like, I love her.
Yes, it's a celebration.
Yeah. And the final question, because I feel like this is something that, I'm embodying and bringing into my world and my clients. What does reclaim your wild mean to you?
Yeah. Like you just said, like it's really less about a meaning in language. It's much more of an embodiment and in your body, coming back to your truest essence and really experiencing your full connection, your nature within you and your connection with nature, and just really being an agent of your heart and your essence. And that's what it feels like to me.
That is so beautiful, being an agent of your heart and your essence. I haven't heard that yet, so thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Natasha, this has been so incredible.
Thank you.
So appreciative and grateful for your time today. I hope that everybody listening got a lot of value. I know a lot of people are going to listen afterwards, so make sure you catch the interview. And thank you again, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you. Yeah, right. Take care. Bye.
Bye.